Hi, I'm Amai, and a little while ago I came across the following YouTube short.
Ranking every artist build. Comic artist. It's challenging to make a living with this build, but if you're determined to tell your own stories, this might be the way to go. The most accessible option for many would be to start a webcomic. Websites such as Webtoon and Tapas can pay you for publishing on their platform, but it doesn't seem like they pay you a whole lot. I think at best I can only put this build in D tier.
D tier? How dare she? Webcomics can be super profitable. Right? In all seriousness, there is reason to doubt the profitability of webcomics. It can be a huge time investment, and independent creators often have to rely on ad revenue and tips for income. But is it really D tier compared to the other disciplines of art? Well, you can decide for yourself after watching this video, as today I'll be sharing my income from comics in 2024. I actually did this last year as well, so if you'd like to compare, please go check out that video too. And of course, to give credit where credit's due, PCAT, the creator of the video I showed at the start, makes really entertaining artist-related content. As hurt as I may be about that D tier rating, I do recommend everyone to go check out her videos. Without further ado, shall we begin? First, allow me to introduce you to the sources of my income this year. Much like last year, I received income from Patreon and Webtoon. But there's also a newcomer this year, Kickstarter. Unfortunately, Namikomi doesn't make the list this time, but it's already in the running for next year. We'll start with the lowest source of income, Webtoon. In 2024, I launched a new series, Stellarum, and retired my old one, Mira. Stellarum only has 11,000 subscribers at the moment, a third of what Mira had. I got 5 ad revenue payouts, each being $100 each for a total of $500 in revenue. This is surprisingly the same as last year. Some of that was still remnants from Mira, and I'm actually seeing a steady decline in ad revenue now that Stellarum is my sole main project. It's a little demotivating, but I've somewhat come to accept that Stellarum won't be a massive success or source of income. Webtoon also introduced their super like tipping feature this year, and though there were some super generous people who donated, I haven't made nearly enough for a payout yet. Moving on to my second source of income, Patreon. Because of my transition from one comic to another, Patreon was rocky this year and had many pauses, cancellations, and so forth. However, we started out strong in January with $220 of revenue. In February, I made $173, the effects of my first series ending starting to show. Then the Patreon was on pause for March and April. In May, I finally unpaused and made $155. $171 in June, and $166 in July. At this point, I had to put Patreon on break again for reasons that will become clear soon, so I made no revenue in August or September. I unpaused in October and made $138, $136 in November, and finally $117 in December, a considerable drop from the previous months. The steady decline in revenue is once again a reflection of my comic switching over, but the amount of content the patrons were actually getting was also underwhelming, and it's not something I feel good about. I tried providing some content on the pause months just to make up for things and try to help people get their money's worth, but ultimately I haven't been as proactive with Patreon as I should be. Unfortunately, Patreon provides no option to remove subscribers, which means I had nowhere to clear out people I believe may have forgotten about their subscription. It would have been a huge burden off my shoulders to be able to reset everything and start from square one, but it is what it is. In total, I made $728 from Patreon this year, around $200 less than the previous year. Finally, onto my largest and also most complicated source of revenue, Kickstarter. So, remember that comic I'd said I completed in 2024? Mira? Yeah, well, I actually decided to make physical printed copies of it. The actual process was long, draining, very complicated, and the reason why my contributions to other work was significantly lower than it should have been, aka the reason for all those Patreon pauses. I plan on making a whole video dedicated to the process of making my book, from formatting to setting up my Kickstarter to printing and finally shipping and fulfilling orders, but that's for later. I will just be sharing the raw numbers. I had 99 people back the Kickstarter, about 80 of them being physical orders. I also had 4 people who dropped out. I'm not sure if that's in addition to the 99 or not, but anyways, their payment declined. My funding goal was 3,000 New Zealand dollars, which is roughly 1,600 USD. The rates were quite different back then, but I'll be using the current exchange rates for simplicity. That goal was absolutely smashed, doubled even. I ended up getting 7,188 New Zealand dollars, or roughly 3,900 US. Then Kickstarter took their handsome fee, leaving me with a final total of 6,421 New Zealand dollars, or 3,571 US dollars. Of course, I then had many expenses to cover, like printing books, producing merchandise, and shipping parcels. But I don't take expenses into consideration for these videos. If you would like to know more about the whole process and how much money I was actually left with in the end, make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for when I eventually make a video on that. Now it's time for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for, the grand total. To recap, I made $500 from Webtoon, $728 from Patreon, and $3,571 from Kickstarter, bringing the grand total to $4,799. Let's just round that up to 4,800, shall we? I am sure there was some cents unaccounted for in there. $4,800. That is close to $3,000 more than I made in 2023, which I honestly think is an amazing achievement. Is it a lot, especially considering the amount of work I put in? Arguably no, but I learned a lot and I'm on an upward trajectory, and that's what matters most, right? More importantly, is webcomics really a D-tier source of income? Okay, I might not be the best point of reference, but I would also say no. Listen, I've had my comms open for a year and made zilch, so even my webcomic rations feel like a lot. The reality is, the monetization potential from webcomics is incredibly vast. Ad revenue, royalties, book sales, and subscriptions are just a few of the many ways one can make a living off webcomics. It may not be the easiest work, but it is so incredibly fulfilling. Sure, D tier to some, but S tier in my heart. What do you think? Where would you rate webcomics on a scale from S to F? Let me know in the comments. And in general, feel free to let me know what you thought of this video. It's been a long time coming, and I know many people have been eagerly awaiting the next installment after last year. I hope the wait was worth it. Surely that increase in revenue from last year was something exciting to see, or maybe that's just me. Anyways, I have no intention of stopping the saga here, so make sure you're subscribed so you can catch the 2025 installment next year. I have a lot of videos in the works generally, so stay tuned. Sorry for being gone for so long. Busy, busy, busy. I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, evening, or night. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye!